Welcome to day one of my 21-day tour of Matomo. Matomo is an analytics platform, and unlike other analytics platforms, Matomo lets you host your own data on your own servers, ensuring data privacy and compliance with regulations like GDPR and CNIL. Your data remains in your hands, giving you peace of mind. There's also a cloud version, so you don't need to manage your own servers, and conveniently it has a 21-day trial, so we're using that during the next 21 days so we get the most out of all the Matomo features for free. In this video we'll be setting up our free Matomo 21-day trial account, installing our tracking code so we can start tracking, and then have a quick overview of the Matomo UI. Follow-up videos will be going through every aspect of Matomo. By the end of the 21 days you should be a Matomo professional. Okay, so to start our trial we'll just go to the matomo.org website, and up on the top right or down here we've got to try Matomo Cloud, so we'll just click on that. There's no credit card required, so you can just give your basic credentials to get up and running. Just put in your email address, your website, so I'm just going to make up a website here and call it Trial 21, and click on Start Improving Your Web Analytics. Now, if we can see down here, it's got your analytics subdomain will be Trial 21 at matomo.cloud. So once I've finished this, I go to this URL to start accessing my trial, and of course I can change it to anything I want, but I'm pretty happy with this Trial 21. Once that's all done, it'll send me an email so I can access the Matomo. So I've got the email here, and it's just asking me to set my account, so I just click on this button to continue, and it's got the email I already configured in there, and I've just got to add a password and click on confirm. Okay, once we've logged in, it's giving us the tracking code to add to our website if we want to add it manually, so we cut and paste this code and add it directly to the header of our website. The other option is we've got the tag manager code, which is just another case of copying the code here and putting it in the header of your website. You wouldn't put both in, you'd use one or the other. The difference between the two is the tracking code is basically all it does is this tracking. There's some things we can add and take away from the tracking code, which we'll cover in a later video, but essentially all this will do for you is track your visitors. For the tag manager, it also does track your visitors, but you can also add tags and triggers that do all sorts of other things without having to involve a third party. If you want to create an event which triggers a goal or something like that, rather than get it all manually coded into the page like you would need to for the tracking code, you can do it all in the tag manager. We've got other ways over here as well, so we've got the other options you can use to track other than the tracking codes. We've got log analytics, and what this does is rather than use a tracking code, you just use the server logs from your web server and import them straight into Matomo. We've got the mobile app SDK, so you've got an iOS device or an Android device. There are other SDKs available to do that. The tracking API, so if you've not really got a website per se, you've got some like a kiosk or something, you can track manually using the HTTP tracking API. There's a guide for using Google Tag Manager, so you can still use the Google Tag Manager if you want to track using Matomo. WordPress guide, Spa guide. So if you've got a single page application, there's a guide here to get the best value out of Matomo using that sort of website. Cloudflare and Vue.js guides also. Over to the left here we've got integrations where they've got some plugins which you can use and guides to use all these other platforms as well. If we're still not sure what we should do, we've got a contact support button here where you can contact support, and the same down the bottom is a little chat box so you can contact support also asking for help. So down the bottom here we also create the demo website. So if you've just starting out with Matomo, obviously you won't have any data to play around with. This will import data from a demo website, so you've got all the data there. You can look at all the reports and just see what Matomo can offer you. For our trial, I'm just going to use a WordPress website. I've just got a basic WordPress website set up. So if I click on this one, it'll take me through to the guide, and I've got to add this plugin WP Matomo and configure that to connect directly to my cloud account. So we'll go through and do that now. Okay, so here's my WordPress website. It's a pretty basic website. Essentially, this is all you get once you've installed a WordPress from scratch. So we'll use this as a tool over the next 21 days. There's nothing really to change here. You can add themes obviously like you can with regular WordPress sites, but we're not too fussed about that. All we're really worried about is getting Matomo up and tracking. To do that, we go into the back end of WordPress, so I'll do that now. This is just your vanilla type of WordPress backend. We want to go into our plugins and add a new one. And I'm just going to go and search Matomo. And we have two plugins. This plugin here is the integrated version of Matomo. So this one tracks, it installs all the Matomo components into your WordPress website. So if you install this one, you wouldn't be tracking to cloud. You can go straight ahead and follow these tutorials for the next 21 days, but you'll probably have to stop halfway through because they'll be going through the premium features which aren't included in the WordPress version, but you can of course purchase those individually if you want. So my suggestion is, if you're new to Matomo, you're not quite sure what you want, I would go for this WP Matomo integration, and then we can connect directly to your cloud account, go through all the features, and you better decide which things are useful to you. Maybe you don't want to use all of the plugins, maybe you don't need any of them, but it would be a good way just to have all of them available so you can see exactly what you can do. So for the cloud account, we don't use this one, we do use this one. If you want to install and run Matomo for free on your local machine forever, or your local WordPress forever, this is the one you would use. Again, it doesn't have all the plugins. So we're going to use the cloud for the next 21 days. So I'm going to click this one and install it, then activate it, and we've got the WP Matomo integration available for us here, and we want to go through and set it up. So we click on settings. For using our cloud account, we'll just choose this drop down. We'll choose Matomo Cloud. Earlier accounts had Intergraph, but we're going to use the Matomo one. And if you remember from the other screen, it's Trial 21. And that's where you need to put in for the subdomain. You don't need to put in any other details because the rest of the full domain is up here. So it's just Trial 21. And then it wants the auth token. The auth token is a special code which gives us the ability to track data to our Matomo. To gather this code, we need to go back into the Matomo trial. So back in our trial here, we want to go to this little gear here, which is for the admin for our Matomo. And then we want to navigate down to security, scroll down, and we want to create a token. So we'll create a new token. Just wants our password to create a token. And here I'll just so I know it's for WordPress. And this is the code that the plugin wants. So we'll just copy that one. Click on the confirm button. And we go back to the WP Matomo plugin to add the token. So we plug our token in here, and then we've got an auto config button. So you can click on save changes and it will automatically connect to your list of websites. I'm just going to untick that for now and click on save changes, and then here it lists the sites, and when we created our trial, it automatically created an ID site called trial21.com, which is our fictitious website. We've got no other options. If you had other websites in here, you'd want to pick one of those, but this looks good enough to me. So if I click on save changes, that is WP Matomo all configured up. Now, say that you wanted to actually use the tag manager rather than just the default tracking. You go into enable tracking here, go into manually, and then in here you'd paste in the tag manager code and save those changes, and then you would use the tag manager code in your WordPress site. But for us, this getting up and running, we're just going to go with the default tracking method and use that. So we've just got one more thing to do. Once we've finished this configuration, we go into enable tracking, and it's disabled at the moment, so if I were to visit the website now, it would not show a hit. Perhaps you want to do this if you're concerned that maybe you haven't got all your PII nailed down and you're thinking you're tracking stuff you shouldn't be. You can easily just come in and disable Matomo. But for now, we're going to choose default tracking and save. Now if I visited my website now and I came back to the screen, it would show the typical Matomo UI, but we haven't tracked any data yet because we have visited the site after we've enabled the plugin. So what I'm going to do is just click on this line here. It says click here to hide this page for about an hour, and here we are in the Matomo UI. Across the top we've got a top nav bar, we've got the dashboard, all websites. If you're running multiple websites in here, you'll be able to get a total of page views and revenue across all your websites. We've got the tag manager configuration where we can go through and edit our tags. When you start a new trial in the cloud, it creates the default tags for you, so it should start tracking immediately. We've got the admin screen, which we just looked at previously. We've got the learn what's new, which is just news from Matomo. We've got an info button here, which is how we can connect to support, and which is similar to the button down the bottom. We've got to create a demo website as well. Back to the main screen. On the left hand side we've got our left hand nav, which gives us all the breakdown of all the features. So if you've installed this on Matomo for WordPress without all the plugins, all these premium features will be missing, so you'll only have half the menu, but you'll still be able to follow along down to at least goals. So this is entirely useful to us now because we have no data to look at. The visit log is empty because there's been no visitors. Once we've installed the code on the WordPress site, which we just did, we'll go and visit a page, and our visit should appear in the real-time visitor log. So we're back in the Matomo dashboard here, and it's definitely my hit. It's from Auckland, New Zealand, where I am. I'm using Chrome with Windows 11. More device type information there, and if I click on here, it'll come up with my visitor profile. And I've not had any other visits, so it's got no other information. Over the left here, it would have any more information like custom dimensions, campaign parameters, anything like that for my latest visit. If I go into visitors, visits log, we can also see the same visit. I'll have the visit and the path I went to, and I can access the visitor profile from here up here also. Date and time, all the details. By default, Matomo will hide the last 2 digits of the visitor's IP address. This isn't the visitor's IP address, it's the last 2 numbers have been removed and replaced with 0 for GDPR reasons. It is possible to configure Matomo to provide the entire IP address, in case, for example, you're on an intranet or something like that, but we'll go over that in another video also. But back to our dashboard. This is the default layout of Matomo. Up top here we've got a search field, so we can search this list of features. For example, goals. It'll give you all the options within goals. So if there's any particular feature here you want to jump to quickly, you can type it up in the top here. It doesn't search the data, it only searches the menus. We've got our date picker here. We obviously don't have a lot of data to deal with. We've only got today, so we can't go through and check the dates. We've got the all visits button, and we can add a segment. We'll be going over segments in another video. Essentially this is a powerful feature to let you filter out customers by region, type, browser, type of purchases, country type, all sorts of things to narrow down your visitors to a particular segment. Dashboard. So here we can customize our dashboard, so we can pick off anything here and just add it to the widgets that are on the main dashboard. And as I mentioned, you can add these widgets to the default dashboard. So these little boxes, they're all called widgets. So if we click on it, we can move it around to wherever we want it to go. And we can add new ones. Perhaps there's an item in here you're actually quite keen on looking at, so maybe the goals overview. If we go to the dashboard, go down to goals and overview, and add that as a widget, and now it appears here. And of course we can move that wherever we want to as well. You can reset the dashboard so it's back to default, change the dashboard layout so you've got the different column options. You can rename the dashboard. You can set the default widget selection, and you can copy the dashboard to another user. So once you've created one that you like and other users will benefit from it, you can copy it across to another user's account. We don't have any other users in here, so we're just stuck with ourselves really. Once your dashboard is created, it's added to your list of dashboards here. So the one I've just renamed, local dashboard. If I want to create a new dashboard, and we could create it as an empty one to start with. And we'll just add the real-time visitor count to this one. So if I go back to my website now, this should count up to 1. Let's refresh this page so it creates a new hit. And we can see that my one hit is turned up in the real-time visitor counter. So you can add any widget you want here, so let's go for the real-time map. And because I've only got one visit and it's from New Zealand, it only shows New Zealand on the map. If it had other countries, it would show more parts of the globe. So with only my visit to the website, there's not a lot of data to look at, right? It's not very exciting. I can't sort of investigate any of the reports because there's no data for me to have a look at. So what we can do is just import data from a demo site, so then we can have a look at all the reports and see what it provides for us. To do that, we click on this eye icon, scroll down, and we've got create the demo website. What this does, it'll add a demo site to your Matomo, which you can delete later, and gives you data to play around with. So the cool thing about this is it uses your dashboards that you've already created. You can see the world map is expanded out to show all the countries that the visits are coming from. All this data, you don't need to stress out, all this data is completely fictitious, so you're not going to see anybody's data that belongs to any human. It's all just being generated automatically by a script available in the Matomo plugin website. So in here we can see the full visits log. Perhaps if we look at this particular visitor, we can see they've had 3 visits and all the pages they've gone to. If we go down to acquisitions, we can see how all those customers or visitors have come to the website. That's the end of day 1 with Matomo. We've set up our trial account, we've started tracking data, we've imported the demo website so we can have a look at the data. We've quickly gone over the navigation of the main dashboard, and we've created our own custom dashboards, and we've learned how to share dashboards across users. In the next video we'll be going through all the items in the visitors, and I hope to see you next time.